Multifamily Mindset
podcast. Think bigger. All right, aloha, my friends, and welcome to the Multifamily Mindset podcast. I'm Tyler Deveraux. I'm here with Jackson Campbell, and today we're going to finish up. Well, not finish up, but tie in another aspect of this sales process, the acronym sales. Jay, what else do you want to say?
Well, first off, I'm disrespected.
Why?
I feel disrespected by you that you didn't comment on my mustache.
For
our YouTube watchers, you are pleasantly surprised to see me here with a mustache today, and it's a new look for me. And
Jackson shaved his beard and left shorter and left his mustache.
Yep.
Which makes him look like a skinny Frenchman.
That's what you said yesterday, and you know what? I'll take it as a compliment.
French are assholes, bro, but you're not.
Wait, what's Deveraux, though?
That's French, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I know we're assholes.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Just kidding. No, but welcome. The GROWTHCAST. I'm not the GROWTHCAST. It's the Multifamily Mindset podcast.
That's
now.
it, bro.
We are so excited to be here. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, we're happy to have you. Tune in every day. We've got episodes every single day, Monday through Thursday with Dallas, and then Friday with us here on the Aloha Friday. But like Tyler alluded to, we're going to dive more into this the framework of sales, dude. We've broke these down into, like you've broke the word sales down into an acronym. And we've gone through and we've covered S, A, and L so far.
Yep.
Those being switch seats is the S, the A is assess the need, and L being locate the pain. And today we're going to talk about E, like you said, which is embrace objections, man. And this is honestly the really fun part of sales to me. It's like when the solutions come. You know what I mean? It's like when the solutions can start being created, dude. So I'm excited about this. But before we dive in, you mentioned this to me earlier. I think it just paints a great picture and a great way to start this episode, dude. But what is the definition of embrace?
Yeah, man. When we did the first initial intro, and we just kind of went through all of them like a quick highlight, we asked Siri what the word embrace
that's right.
meant. I remember she said something like hug or whatever. But dude, embrace and how we're viewing it is to take or accept gladly, even eagerly. And so I want you to think about that with objections. Like, why would we accept them gladly and eagerly? Well, dude, because first off, it's the epitome of service. Like, truly care about the objection, and then because if we don't know what's holding them back, we can't help them move forward. And dude, sales is all about helping people move forward, progressing people down the line of whatever it is they're looking for. And in order for us to do that, we have to truly embrace the objection, search for the objection, and then we can move to S, which is solve, which we'll get into later.
Dude, I'm excited. Awesome. I'm so excited to dive into this, dude. It reminds me of your peak keynote.
Be the buffalo.
Be the buffalo.
Yeah.
And running into the problems, or running into the
storms.
The storm. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, yeah, you're good, dude. Yeah, that's it. Like, be the buffalo. That if you weren't at peak, that keynote was all about, man, don't run from the storm, man. Like freaking, most people try to avoid it or lay down into it. Like, we related it to cows. They lay down in it, right? Or run from it, and they stay in the storm longer. Buffaloes charge the storm, go right into the storm. So same thing applies here, man. Don't run from objections. Don't try to don't lay down it. Charge it, man. When you see those figurative clouds, right, form above your head, go full force and run into those things, dude. Embrace the objections. Like those questions, doubts, concerns, once again, whatever you call those are good things, Those are things that, like, if they didn't have those, they only have those if they're interested in what you were talking about.
Right.
If they didn't have those, they would just freaking end the convo as quickly
and walk away.
That's it.
Exactly, dude.
So embrace them, man. Embrace those kind of things. Like, I believe one of the first things we can really do when we go into a situation, like a sales situation, is check our perspective. Like, what is your perspective? Is your perspective of objections? Well, are you trying to run from them? Are you trying to avoid them? Are you frustrated that they have them? If so, like, dude, perspective drives performance. And so if your perspective is that they're a nuisance, your ability to help them solve them will be very, very low.
Yeah.
But if your perspective is that sales is service, then helping them solve those, well, shit, man, we can't solve something we don't really know about, right? So we got to embrace them.
It's so good. I love the comparison with the buffaloes and the clouds and the rain that comes and how they run into the rain.
Yep.
They run into the mess.
Yep. Get
right?
to it quicker.
And then what's on the other side?
The fruits of
the fresh
the
grass,
life. Yeah.
right? The fresh grass, the
Water.
fresh plants, water, that cloud has brought.
Yeah.
Like that's what we got to realize here too. Like
Totally.
the water, the grass doesn't grow, and those things aren't even possible unless there's that storm cloud above that pours that rain down, right?
Yeah.
So as you're going into these conversations, into these sales conversations, those objections have to be there.
Yeah.
Or there can't be a solution created. So like understanding that and noticing that good things come from objections is huge, dude. And it just makes so much sense to me when you make that comparison with the buffalo, dude. But
can I tell you when this all came about?
Yeah.
Because actually, dude, I'll lead in with one thing too. If you've ever been to one of my trainings, and I mentioned this briefly on the introductory one that we kind of did, but was response blocks. But response blocks are really when I understood that it is important to embrace the objection.
yeah,
Response blocks, are, I'm not trying to block someone's response. I care so much about the response that I want to bring it up before they even have to. And where this came from is I got asked to do a presentation to a bunch of grocery store owners. Like it's the largest chain of grocery stores in the western half of the U.S. I don't know if you knew that.
no,
I'll leave out their name for now, but it was a while ago when I was in the internet marketing space.
yeah,
It was the first time actually that I'd really been presented from a big stage like that. There's a bunch of them in there.
that's awesome. Big opportunity.
And I wasn't there to sell them anything, dude.
Yeah.
I wasn't there I was there to present, like literally inform them with valuable information, and I did just that. But I also let them know, like, man, you have to embrace this digital era, or else, dude, you'll go out of business.
Right.
Because in the future, people will be buying their groceries online. And I think I've mentioned this on one of these podcasts before. But here's what happened with that. Then they started grilling me with questions and concerns or objections, if you will. And here's the thing, like I had the answers to those, but because I hadn't response blocked them up front, now it was almost like I was on the defensive. I was on my heels the whole time.
Right.
And that was not good, That was not good. And then what happened is on the flight home, I watched 8 Mile, and really just to disconnect because I love 8 Mile. And I want you to think of the last rap battle. If you've never watched 8 Mile, you need to go watch it. But the last rap battle on 8 Mile, when Eminem, they call him Rabbit, right?
Rabbit, his character name.
Battles, I think Papa Doc.
Something, yeah.
And Papa Doc's like, you go first, And Eminem goes first, and what he does is he just disarms Papa Doc because all these things that he knows Papa Doc is going to bring up, he just raps about them. He just brings them up. He just embraces them, if you will, eagerly. And then what it did is it removed the power from the objection. From the response blocks removed the power from the objection, and in this scenario, it was the same thing, right? And it was literally this eye-opening thing of like, man, don't run from those things. And honestly, I knew some objections that these people would have, the grocery store owners, but I was absolutely trying to avoid them. Don't run from them, man. Embrace them, and it'll change you, dude, on how you do things.
It really will. When you embrace them, just a question for you. When you embrace the objections, when you're having a sales conversation, how does that energy turn? Like, how is the communication with the person?
Yep. Positive, and it's not, I want to say almost synergistic because you're literally working together. It's not me, you, it's us.
It's exactly what it does, dude.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it does. It makes it, now it's our problem.
That's it.
Now it's our problem. Now I know, now we're here working together to find that solution.
Yep.
But you come at it that other way. You don't talk about any of these objections that you know they're going to have, and you wait for them to ask it. How do those conversations go?
I believe it lowers your credibility because it shows that you lack confidence. It shows that you lack confidence. You're trying to take the easy way out instead of truly a service-based model.
Exactly.
You're making it more about you than about them, right? That's how I view it.
It's like exactly. At that point, that's when people get that, in my perspective at least, that's when people start getting that I'm being sold feeling.
Yeah, amen, dude.
Is where it's just like, I've got an answer for your objection. I've got an answer for your objection. I've got an answer for your objection. It's just that back and forth.
That's it.
And it really turns argumentative.
Combative.
It's combative, dude. Like, it might not be an intense combative argument, but it essentially is an argument. I'm giving you a suggestion and you're telling me why. I'm giving you an objection and you're telling me why that objection's invalid.
And it's the hardest way to progress someone forward. It literally, we think it's literally the hardest way to progress somebody forward.
Yeah.
This way that we're talking about is, it may seem nerve-wracking, it may seem scary. It's not, dude. Like, when you get into it and you just embrace it, you're gonna realize that is the easiest way to progress things forward, man. It just is.
Like talking about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, dude. So what are the high-level checkpoints in this stage? You've gone through, as we've broken down this acronym of sales, you give high-level checkpoints on each one of these acronyms. Real quick, before you give us the high-level checkpoints on E, just remind us, what are these high-level checkpoints? What are the purpose of them?
How I view it in my mind, like this acronym, right, is this acronym, as you're having this conversation, you're working through these checkpoints through the conversational structure. And every conversation will be different, right? You'll pivot, you'll come back, but you have a framework with how you handle a conversation. The high-level checkpoints it's the framework within the framework, right? It's the most important thing. So if I'm going to simplify it as much as possible, we're going to get into more details, but simplify it as much as possible, like boom, boom. Like for example, the high-level checkpoints here, okay? High-level checkpoints here are empathy, like really like empathetically identify the true objection. We'll get into that.
I can't wait.
Validate their concern, and then isolate the concern or the objection by using an if, this, then type statement before you go into solving. So those are at a high level, like when you're truly embracing objections, that's the high level that you'll get into. And you'll see, like, as we go through the process, how I break this down is I have, the step, which is embrace objections. I do a description, if you will, and then I go through a high-level checkpoint, and then I go through the process on how we run through it, and that's really what I'm walking you through here, too.
Okay, I love it, man. I love it. Okay, so that high-level checkpoint, man, if you don't mind, let's just dive right in. Let's dive right into those three things that you just covered. So the first one being empathetically identifying the true objection. Mm-hmm. I love how you put empathetically there in front. Go explain. Why did you put empathetically there in front? And then, what do you mean by identify the true objection?
So think about the combative side we just talked about, right? Let's say you give me an objection and I'm just like, well, how come?
Yeah.
Why is that the case? It's like, that doesn't show true concern. It will turn combative from there. Mm-hmm. Even that. Now, it's the same thing that I'm trying to do, which is really like understand what their objection is, but how we phrase it and the intention behind how we phrase it is very important, right? Something along the lines of like, hey, can you help me understand what's causing that concern, right? Just something as simple as that's an empathetic approach, and it really, it reflects your genuine concern about their objection. You know what I mean? Like, I believe if you don't do that, and I believe most people don't do that, by the way, but I believe if you don't do it that way, once again, there's just going to be a defensive aspect to it. Like, once again, we're embracing them, but the only way I can embrace it if I truly understand it, right? So empathetically embrace. What does empathetic mean? Do you know?
Empathetic, to have empathy for somebody. It's like feel for them.
Yeah.
To feel for them, right? Feel for them.
That's how I break it down too.
Yeah.
And I do feel for them because, dude, we have all been in situations where we want something, but something is stopping us.
Right.
In fact, I'll tell you this, okay? I believe that most objections, dude, listen, man, most objections come down to like the conditions aren't ideal. I don't have the time, or it's not the right time, or I don't have the money, or what if it doesn't work? It's like the conditions aren't ideal. We have been trained, we've been trained to only take action when the conditions are ideal, which is why the poor stay poor. It's because the conditions are never ideal. Successful people understand that the conditions are never ideal, but we get solution-based and resourceful to move forward regardless, right?
Yeah.
But we've all been in a position where we're held back.
Yeah.
And so I am empathetic about that. I am. And you want to show that empathy so that, once again, it becomes an us instead of a you and I type thing, right? We're on the same side of the table instead of opposite sides of the table.
Yep. Think real quick. I just want to pause you really quick. Sorry, dude. I want everybody listening, think of that moment where you were stuck, where there was something that was just stopping you, that was impeding you, some objection that was just stopping you from growth. Think everybody's had that experience in their life where they've been in that point. How would it make you feel if someone was to come along the way, truly understand where it is that you are, truly understand what it is that's holding you back and what's stopping you, and then wants to work with you to try to figure out how to overcome whatever that is.
That's it.
How would that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like, how would that make, like, dude, it makes me feel amazing. It's happened to me multiple times. You've been that person for me before. It makes me feel amazing. It brings the relationship better. It brings a bond between you and that person, can really create a true relationship around whatever that struggle is that's holding them back.
Totally.
So I just want to just like really really drive home that point of the importance of understanding, feeling for them, having that empathy for them, and like really truly understanding, because we've all been in that point.
Totally.
And we've all needed help.
Yep.
And for you to be in that position, to now you're in that position to maybe help them with something, what a blessing. What an opportunity.
Yep.
That you have to do that, dude. So I just want to
love that.
Before anything, dude, before any of the solutions come up, like bonding with somebody on an issue like that, man, that might even be more to them than what it is that you have to offer them.
Well, dude, I don't believe you're even going to be, I agree, bro. You're not going to even be able to offer them, or they're not going to, you may be able to offer a solution, but they're not going to hear the solution until you know that you hear them.
Exactly.
I'll also say this, Matt, because we talk about the conditions aren't ideal. When we embrace this, when we truly embrace this service mentality, right, and the objection, well, because some people, and I've fallen guilty of this all the freaking time, where I'll be chatting with someone, I'll be like, oh my gosh, man, they don't know how to invest in themselves. They don't understand the value. They don't know. It's like their conditions aren't ideal, but do you know what I'm doing? I am not being resourceful enough to help them understand how to be resourceful.
Exactly.
So if I'm frustrated that they're not being resourceful, really, that's because I'm not being resourceful. And that's on me. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to have situational awareness, because sometimes no is a no. Sometimes it's like not a fit. So you have to have situational awareness, obviously. If you're just trying to muscle shit through, dude, no, that ain't what this is about. You have to have situational awareness, but truly like understanding. And then the next phase of that is now validate. I learned this from Judd Tolman. And Judd is...
Man, oh, I love Judd, dude. Amazing at this.
I'll never forget it. I was sitting in a hotel in Houston, and he was talking. We're talking about, like, because he is very good. I learned relationships, so much about relationships from Judd. Because he just built such a solid relationship with those people that he works with. And so really that's what we were talking about. And he said, one of the biggest things that I do is I validate. So this next phrase, you understand, like you seek understanding, and then you validate the concern. He's like, I validate it because until you validate the concern, it's very difficult to go and try to solve it. You have to understand it, but then you have to validate. So most people, what they'll do is they won't validate it. They'll just go to solve it. And validating the concern is about, really what that does is validate the person. Mm-hmm. You're validating the person. It's, hey man, that's a valid concern. That's, oh man, I totally see that's a total valid concern. It seems like blah, blah, blah. He'll even say something like, hey man, totally valid. I totally get it. And listen, regardless of which direction you move forward, like, I just want to help you. So like, I totally understand that side of things. I totally get it. Feels like X. And then they start to chat about it, right? It's validating the concern. And that's different. It's different because most people they feel like if they validate it, they bring power to it. And I actually believe when you validate it, you can actually begin to disempower it.
Well, you maybe bring power to it for sure, but now you're in control of that power.
What do you mean by that?
You bring attention to it, which people could call that power. You know what I mean? Because now maybe it becomes the focal point of the conversation. Obviously, it should be if it's the objection, right? You should be talking about the objection.
Yeah, or solutions.
Or the solution around the objection, right? So that's how I see it.
I like it. I can see that, bro. Yeah, it brings power to what we're about to focus on.
But now it's like, now that's the focus.
Yeah.
So now there's power to it, but now you have the power to overcome it.
And it's like in your control. Same thing, man. We're human beings, man. You want to know how you connect with people? You be human. We have things that make us sad. We have things that make us frustrated. We have things that bring us fear. We have things that bring us joy. It's like when you're trying to connect with somebody, be human. You know what? Being validated is a big deal. And it's something, I'll be honest with you, that I think it was so eye-opening to me when Judd was talking about it, because I am big into ownership and owning the outcome and finding solutions, being solution oriented and being resilient. It's like, who gives a shit what the objection is? Let's move forward. Like literally that can be my mentality sometimes for me personally.
Yeah.
And that works for me personally.
Yeah. When it's coming from you.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'm not working with me personally. I'm working with someone else. And I'll tell you that when someone else is trying to help me in a situation, well, I need to be validated. I just need to understand that they understand. Right?
So good, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Brittany's really good at that. Brittany is really, really good at that.
Do you have
Most people who are big with relationships, do I have an example? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, dude. If there's anything you want to share.
Oh, man. Tons. I don't know if I have one off the top of my dome. I don't know. My thought goes to I talk to her a lot about just business. Like, she's not involved in the business, but she is involved in the business. Like, she is my confidant, right? Like, I talk to her about everything. I get advice from her. I riff like all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that. And sometimes, like, I'll go into that thinking, like, God, I got to tell you what happened. And I'm thinking that she's going to just be like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're totally right. Well, that's 99% of the time not what happens. 99% of the time it's like, validate? No, I totally see that. That could be frustrating. Have you thought about this? Right? Like, she validates me, my concern, my frustrations, my whatever, my stumbling block, my fears, whatever it is, right? And then just gives a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. To help you see what you should be seeing in whatever that problem is.
With PAX too, like, I push PAX a lot because PAX needs to be pushed. And she knows that. And dude, she appreciates that because PAX is a kid that he needs to be pushed. And once he's pushed, then he'll catch traction, right? But it needs to be pushed. But, well, dude, let's talk about baseball season. Okay, so baseball season. I'm pushing and pushing. Man, throw this way, hit this way, all these kind of things. And he goes up. And she validates, like, the frustration of, like, man, he's just like, I just feel like he's not trying, Validates it. We chat about it. And then she brings in another perspective of, but you know what? Like, I'm just sitting here watching from a different perspective. I really just think that, honestly, like, I think he just wants to have fun and know, like, you're his buddy above all else. Yeah. And it's like, jeez, that's important. You want to know why? Because when that happens, then we can truly move forward with whatever it is. Anyway, a couple examples.
So good, man. So good. Okay, so we understand the objection.
In an empathetic way.
In an empathetic way.
Yep.
We've understood it, or we validated it. We validated it in a meaningful way. Mm-hmm. Now what?
Now we isolate it.
Okay.
This is imperative, by the way. Listen to me with what we're talking. This is imperative. Write it down. Remember it, because so many times in a situation, the first objection that gets brought up, honestly, it's a smoke screen. A lot of times it's a smoke screen. It's not the true objection. You need to dig for the objection. So isolating it we isolate it through an if this then type of a statement. So, okay, so if we can find a solution, if we can somehow find a solution, then would you be in a position to move forward? Now they're either going to say yes, right? Or they may say no. Okay, if it's no, then that's not the true objection. Now you dig deeper, so you find the true objection. And most people get that. There's a stated objection, right? Mm-hmm. And then the true concern.
Yep.
Stated objection, true concern. We're looking for that true concern, man. We want to know what the true concern is so we can go to work solving it. And we have to do that by isolating it. But what's great about that, because what will happen is if you don't do that, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to solve something that is not really the thing that needs to be solved.
Right.
And that's a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted energy, and you will spin your wheels, and all of y'all will be frustrated. Mm-hmm. So you isolate. If this then type of a statement, what happens is now you're effectively saying, hey man, if we solve this, are you ready to go ahead? Which means when we solve it, which is the next step, we can go ahead. And it's a lot harder for them to be like, well, actually, because you've actually isolated it. So you got to keep the focus on them and drilling down on the reason for the objection, and is this the true objection before you go into the solutions portion.
Yeah, dude, and that's exactly that. Really, that's what I meant when I said now you're taking control back of the objection. The power that the objection has, this is how you take control of it.
Yeah.
By isolating it And now that's the focal point of the conversation, and that's what it is that all surrounds this. Also, another thing that I wanted to bring up, oftentimes you ask that question, if we figure this out, then are you ready to move forward? If we can figure out a solution to this, then are you ready to move forward? A lot of times they will be like, well, no, that's not what it is. Keep digging. And it could, like, I look at myself in these situations, in these sales experiences that I've had, in these conversations that I've had. In that moment, it's very easy to be like, it's very easy as the individual, at least for me, my perspective, it's very easy to be like, well, if that's not going to help you, then that's it, right? But as long as they're still standing there in front of you, willing to have that conversation with you to try to figure out a solution or try to figure out what the main objective is, then they want to be having the conversation with you, and they want you to help them figure out the solution.
Agreed, man. You know what the case is that I've found most of the time? They don't know really, they haven't truly taken the time to identify what is holding them back. So you're really in a discovery process with them to help them understand what's been holding them back.
Dude, I think in the initial episode you talked about how this almost sometimes turns into therapy. Yeah. It really does, though, because sometimes you're going to be the one that helps them figure out what that true objection is, because at times they don't even know what it is.
And that's service, man. That's value. Yeah. Because once again, they probably haven't sat down to think through that process, and you're just helping them discover it. You're not trying to guess it. Right? Response blocks are trying to get some sort of understanding, but you're not trying to guess it. You're trying to, like, really help them isolate it so that they know what to solve for. So like, good. I want to clarify one thing too, because, like, I believe problems in life, period. I believe problems are similar to objections, where most people, their biggest problem is that they think that they shouldn't have problems. But also how we go to solve them, like, and I also say that problems are potential profit. Right. So the most successful people search for problems to solve because that's valuable, and value creation leads to wealth creation. Same thing with objections. Most people run from objections because they think it's a bad thing. No. The most successful people search for objections to solve for these individuals because we know that's valuable, and value creation leads to wealth creation. So we got to search for them, right? But the key is, most people spend way too much on the problem or way too much on the objection. Dude, it should be 10% on the objection, 10% on the problem, 90% on the solutions, right? But that 10% on the problem or the objection, to identify, isolate, validate, understand, is key to the rest of the 90% of the work that you'll do, right?
The other 90% can't even happen properly.
So I'll challenge it.
Okay.
No, you said it perfectly. It can't happen properly, because if it can happen.
Totally.
But like where you bull your way through the sale, right? But that is a short-term thing, dude.
Right.
It might, like, feel good in the moment. You get something done in the moment, but long-term, that will burn you, dude.
Right.
Long-term, that will hurt you, your relationship with them. It'll hurt them, because now they'll believe, like, man, like, was this my decision? Was it their decision? How did this work? It's like, you want them to create the solution, which is, S, which is we'll talk about next time, which is solve together. It's like, that's key. But in order for us to do that, we truly have to understand what we're solving for, right? You can breeze through this one, and you can, skip it and still get to your end result. But what is the end result? The end result isn't just the sale, dude. That's not what, and if it is, you're short-sighted, man. The end result is relationships. It's
a solution.
Like, I look at investors.
Solution.
I'm not trying to get an investor once. I want to get an investor for a lifetime. Business 101 is take one buyer, if you will, and turn it into two. That could be that person buying again. That could be that person referring, right? That only comes from true trust-based relationship, and that comes from embracing objections.
This 10%, this conversation that you have to have leaving into, dude, is so important, Brandon. I love how you just painted that out, dude. And I loved how at the beginning you said these objections can also, it's almost like a synonym for the problems that you have in your life with this framework.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. You can rush through all the problems in your life. You can hurry and bowl your way through them and get it done, get it, whatever it is, get it out of your way so you can move on to the next thing. Sure, you can do that.
Yeah.
But like you said, dude, it's not going to benefit you long term.
No,
it's going to be there haunting you for a while.
Identify it, dude. Understand truly what it is. Show some empathy to yourself. Validate yourself for 5 seconds, then isolate it and solve that bitch.
Yep.
Right?
I love it, dude. I love it, man. Okay, bro. Anything else you want to add here when it comes to embracing objection?
No, man.
This
I
is
think
so
that's
good.
like, honestly, that's the core of it, right? That's the core. Like, really just flip your mindset on what that is, and then go to work. Like, really, the biggest thing is definitely showing empathy. We'll do the high level checkpoints we talked about: the empathy, the isolation, the empathy, the validation, and then the isolation. Isolation, I'm just telling you, is so critical because I see so many people try to spend so much energy and effort solving for it's not even the true problem.
Right.
Just understand, like, set it aside, isolate through an if this, then, and it'll help you a ton.
So good. And then a bonus as well that we kind of talked about at the beginning, prior to and throughout those three things, is response blocks.
Yeah.
Right. It's you going over response blocks prior to and then throughout this framework as well.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
In an ideal world, you've already weaved in response blocks throughout. And once again, man, by addressing the issues that most people try to avoid, you remove the power from the issue and the objection.
Yeah. Man, I love this, dude. I was very excited to dive into this episode, and it provided everything that I thought it would, man.
Sweet.
Embracing objections, not only in sales, but in your life, bro. It's how you progress.
Yeah.
Whether that's progressing that sell forward to taking action or progressing in your life and growing. So is embracing those objections and those problems. Do you have a Hawaiian value for today?
The Hawaiian value.
I have one. Can I take it today?
You get it.
Do you mind?
You get it.
I didn't add it down here at the bottom. I forgot to. I meant to. But actually, Will, the one that puts these outlines together, he threw it in there. And the Hawaiian value that he picked today was aloha.
Yeah.
And I love that, man.
Yeah.
And I love that, especially as we break down those 3 high-level checkpoints, right?
Yeah.
Empathetically identify the person's objection. Like, see the person for who they are.
Yep.
See the person for who they are, who they truly are in that moment, and whatever is impeding them from moving forward.
Yep.
And then that second part of it, which is validate their concern, is again seeing their problem, but also seeing them for who they are and who they can be and what they can do with that objection.
Yeah.
And that problem in their life, and helping them see that in themselves as well.
Yeah.
Right? Validating their concern, knowing that problem is legit, but you also have the power to overcome it.
Totally.
Because we're going to figure that out. You isolate that concern. You actually talk about that concern with somebody. Man, like when I think of Aloha, dude, and living here, it's almost been 2 years since I've lived here. And like, dude, there's so many different definitions for the word Aloha. Everybody uses it a little bit different. The way that I see it, man, and the way that I like truly feel Aloha is really these steps, dude. Is when somebody can really see me.
Yeah.
Can like see me.
Well, that's
and see those problems that I have, and know that I have the capabilities and I have the tools and characteristics to be able to overcome whatever that problem is.
Yeah.
That to me, like that to me is exactly what Aloha is. And like by going through these high level checkpoints, that's exactly what you do. You connect with the people, right? Like we talked about truly understanding someone's connection or someone's problem and talking about it with them and validating it. That's going to create a bond. It's going to create a crazy bond.
Yeah.
Whether they move forward with the sell or whatever it is, there's going to be that bond there forever. And that's how I have experienced Aloha since being here, dude. So
what's crazy is most people see Aloha as hello, goodbye.
Yeah.
And they also know that it also means love. But here's why you broke it down. Like alo means, like the true meaning, dude, if you break it down, alo means to see.
Yeah.
Ha is breath of life. So to your point, right? It's I see how I learned it was I see the God in you, you see the God in me. But when I'm seeing that you're not living up to that
right.
God in you, ha is breath of life. And I'm going to breathe life into you, see you, and then breathe life into you to help you live up to who I know you can be, you know?
Exactly, dude.
And that's service.
And that's finding those solutions, man. Yeah. Sometimes that comes via a sale. Sometimes that comes via something that you're providing for somebody that they need to buy from you. Sometimes that comes from just building that relationship with them.
That's it, man. And
being there with
leaving them in a better spot than you found them. Because
exactly.
There's a lot of people, I would say more people that I talk to that don't move forward with what we do than that do move forward.
For sure.
Right, but with every interaction, I want to breathe life into it and leave them in a better position. Like our tagline is invest with Aloha. And that's because, dude, the most important thing we invest in is people. And I want to breathe life into anybody and everybody I come in contact with. Like that's a common theme of my prayers of like, I want to be a blessing to everyone I come in contact with. Right.
And dude, it's crazy that through through this framework, man, just of this, the framework of just embracing the objections, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can really be a blessing in everybody's lives that you come in contact with if you can follow these three high-level checkpoints.
Thanks for weaving that one in, bro.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
perfect, man.
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, dude.
I know y'all found some value from this. I'm going to ask a favor of y'all. Please go into wherever you watch it, on Spotify, Apple, and leave us a review. Leave us a review, whether it's on this episode, one that Dallas has done. Like, dude, Dallas's episodes are getting better and better and better every freaking week. I swear on my life, like, I love,
good, man.
Sometimes what I've been doing recently is I'll let them pile up. So I'll let like 5 in a row, and then I'll knock out 5 in a row. But dude, I'm just like, they're getting so good. So anyway, man, go give a review. Tell us what value you pulled, and then go share it. Go share it, man. We appreciate those kind of things for sure. We appreciate you. And then, man, always, 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 to this point that we just talked about, live and invest with Aloha, y'all. Peace. Multifamily Mindset. Podcast. Think bigger.